system is upon the mark of the beast system is upon us right now. They're ushering in new laws, and almost 500 million people are now under this new law and this new mark of the beast system that just passed, where everything will be tracked and traced, and you have internet IDs, and they are saying everything down to you renting a bike, and you getting your groceries are going to be connected to this. Your healthcare will be connected to this. Everything will be connected to this, and it will be programmable as well to exclude you from buying and selling certain products and to exclude certain individuals. All right, all this stuff just passed. Right now, almost 500 million people are now under this new law, and we need to be getting ready for it. All right, and I want you to listen to what this guy said right here. Okay, this is the deputy director of the IMF, and I want you to hear what he just said as well while all this other stuff is going on. So this is what he said, the deputy director of the IMF.
The third way we think CBDC can improve financial inclusion is through what we call programmability. That is, CBDC can allow government agencies and private sector players to program, to create smart contract, to allow targeted policy functions. For example, welfare payment. For example, consumption coupon. For example, food stamp. By programming CBDC, those money can be precisely targeted for what kind of people can own and what kind of use this money can be utilized, for example, for food. So this potential programmability can help government agencies to precisely target their support.
So you heard that there from one of the top people at the IMF, okay? And this is a international monetary fund. This is like the World Bank. They give loans. This is like the Federal Reserve for other countries that don't have their own Federal Reserve. That's what the IMF is. And at the same time that they are announcing this, that there's going to be programmable currencies, right? And that's the only way you're going to have access to any type of government care or facilities is to be opted into these CBDC programs. And at the same time now, the EU just passed this digital ID wallet law, and they are now starting to implement it in countries like Luxembourg right now. Okay, and the EU has almost 500 million people in it, and they're now under this new law. Here it is: final agreement on EU digital identity wallets expands scope of regulations. And it says right here, with the full guarantee of EU law, wallet holders throughout Europe can use their linked digital IDs to open bank accounts and make payments, store digital ID and biometric documents such as mobile driver's license and professional certificates, and expedite services in travel, healthcare, and other areas of life. Significantly, the regulation makes it mandatory for so-called very large online platforms like Facebook, Google, etc. to accept the EU digital ID wallet for login. The commissioner's release implies that this is a potential model for smaller companies for which the features and specs of the wallet could boost both competitiveness and compliance. All right, so they're even saying that this is going to be the login option for Google, YouTube, Facebook. Everyone in the EU is eventually going to have to use this for their login because it's very strict over there. If you say anything online that is not approved speech, it doesn't even have to be inciting anything. You could just say speech that is not approved in certain countries in the EU, and you will have the police showing up at your door trying to arrest you for your free speech rights in the EU because they do not have a First Amendment, all right? And
probably not. Will he have a plastic debit card? Probably not. No, remember Professor Richard Werner told us how this will work and what this control will do to all of us. Watch.
Also, they never talk about the nature of this CBDC. What is it actually going to look like? They never talk about that. Right. But I heard one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. He saw it. He was invited to one of the old central banks in Europe that are very much promoting this, and they showed him. And he's a top executive director of another central bank in Europe, and there's no reason to believe that he was telling me a story. And he was around this large and would be implanted under your skin. So that is the plan.
All praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kodash. Double honors to our apostle elders which rule Great Millstone well, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom wa ba. So what they're talking about, the thing that's coming out that's going to be made mandatory, is the implantable microchip, which is the mark of the beast spoken of in Revelation 13, 16, 17, and 18 verses, which I'll pull up right now. Revelation 13, 16, 17, and 18. And he causeth all, both small and great. The he is the elite of the so-called white race. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, which is that implantable microchip I just showed you. That is the mark of the beast. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Which you're going to have that implantable microchip to be able to buy and sell, to be able to access the internet, to be able to drive. All right, all these things that you take for granted today in society is about to be taken away, and they're going to make it mandatory through their draconian laws that everyone have an implantable microchip on their body, in their body. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, which the man that had the understanding is the elect. All right, which we're counting the number of the beast, which we're telling you what it is, for it is the number of a man. It's a man. That man is the so-called white race, starting with their elite. It says, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 All right. Now that 666, right? It goes into the history. It goes into even the draconian law that they're passing. A lot of times they'll have HR 060606. You know what I'm saying? They'll put that in the draconian law that they pass, making it, a part of this system. But also, this number goes back to the Greeks, which were so-called Caucasians, and they would brand their slaves, which were, speaking about the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which are the biblical Hebrew Israelites. All right, when the Greeks came in, after Alexander, they start branding the Jake, all right, as property, which the Romans also did, which you can see this custom kept in these colleges, right? They'll get the Greek letter, the Greek alphabet, branded in them with a hot iron. That's a custom of the Edomites in the past, which eventually led to the barcode system, which everything you buy has a barcode, right? Which they're able to track, all right? While leading up to the implantable microchip. What is in that microchip? A barcode that they're going to scan to show that you're a piece of property to the so-called white man. All right? So that mark of the beast is an implantable microchip that they're going to make mandatory for buying and selling. All right? And the laws they pass in EU, all right, are enforced in America. All right? Right here, this is called the Atlantic Council. EU, European Union, dash US, which is the United States. Defense and Future Forum. It says the third annual EU-US Defense and Future Forum gathers policymakers from both sides of the Atlantic to discuss how the EU-US relationship can further strengthen collective prosperity and security. This forum will take place from November 14th to the 15th of 2023. All right, so as you can see, they're confederate. The European Union, right, which they have NATO, and America, which is the whore that rides the beast. All right, so they're confederate. Okay, and they have mingled themselves with men, the seed of men, which are the heathen, the other nations, against the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery. All right, on this website that I showed you, it's Atlantic Council dealing with the EU-US relationship. You go into the agenda that they talked about, you can come down here and get, it says, building transatlantic economic security, which what they're going into is how they're going to make that implantable microchip mandatory for buying and selling, for traveling, for all the things that you take for granted. They're going to make it mandatory that you have an implantable microchip. It says, how can the European Union and the United States reinforce their trade and investment relationship in a rapidly changing global economy, as in the lines between geopolitics, economics, technology, and the green transition continue to blur, because they're all one. They're going to bring out that implantable microchip to cover all these issues, right? Geopolitics, you're going to show your loyalty through getting that chip. Economics, you're only going to be able to buy and sell unless you got that chip. That chip is the technology and the green transition, which they're trying to get rid of people, and that's going to give them the right to kill people, murder people, I should say, murder for not taking that implantable microchip. Okay? It says, how can the transatlantic partners better coordinate initiatives towards resilient and sustainable supply chains, ensure de-risking, and deploy economic statecraft tools to optimize their own economic security, which they're going to use that implantable microchip. They're going to say that's the only security you need. This discussion will delve into the state of transatlantic trade and its geopolitical and geoeconomic implications. Let's see what this word is. Delve.
Delve.
Oh, delve. It says reach inside a receptacle and search for something. See? Dig. Right? So what they're going to do is they're going to hide it from you to the last minute, but they're eventually going to bring out that implantable microchip and make it mandatory that you have it inside your body for buying and selling, for identification, for security, for citizenship, for all these things that you need in this society to operate. And it is an abomination, because anyone that takes that, and I'm talking to the Israelites, the rest of you nations, you know, you don't have salvation. But to the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery, all right, if you accept that device to try to save your life, it says this is what's going to happen to you. One, in Revelation 16, verse 1, it tells you in verse 1 and 2 that you'll break out with cancer, all right, boils. It says in verse 9 of Revelation 14, this is going to happen after that. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, right, in his forehead or in his hand, that implantable microchip, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh through his son Yahushua, because Yahushua is going to be sent to judge the world, which is poured out without mixture, which that's why he's going to take his elect up, so he don't have to show no mercy on the earth. It's going to be great judgment. It says, which is poured out without mixture, so no mercy is going to be shown, into the cup of his indignation, which America is going to get hit with nuclear missiles, turned into a lake of fire. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, which it's talking about the elect that are going to be delivered, and in the presence of the Lamb, talking about Yahushua when he returns to gather the elect and to judge the world, the wicked and them that do wickedly, including the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. And, they're going to die in their unfaithfulness. They're going to be in this lake of fire, catching the same judgment as a heathen. All right? This judgment was created for the devil, the so-called white man, right, and all his people. But because the heathen are in bed with him, and because the 2/3 of the nation of Israel that are in America, they want this wicked-ass society to continue, they're going to perish with him. All right? But to them that have an ear to hear and an eye to see what time it is, repent and return to your rightful lot in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.